This week's big review is Simple Violin by Fluffy Audio, and I want to start out this review with a couple of questions that I asked myself when I was looking into this library. How many solo violin libraries do you already own, and do you really think you need another one? These are, as I say, exactly the two questions that popped into my head as soon as I looked at this library and heard about Simple Violin's features. Simple Violin runs in the full version of Contact. It's just over a gigabyte in size and has over 1,000 samples. In the interface you've got 3 different microphone positions. There's close, mid and far, and lots of other options for customising the sound under the hood, including some presets which you can quickly go to that already have microphone positions and reverb settings set up for you. Simple Violin is a legato solo violin, and that's it. There's no shorts, there's no trills or any other articulations at all. So when you load it up, it plays very nicely in legato within its own limitations. In fact, it does sound exactly like the demo tracks, which is great to hear, and there's nothing worse than loading up an instrument after listening to the demos that you've been blown away by and having a completely different sound coming out the box. This sounds exactly the same. Despite it being called Simple Violin, there are many options for changing the reverb, the legato behaviour, adding simulated vibrato and compression, and humanising the tuning as well. I can't go into all of the different options that are available, but there are plenty there within various windows of the interface. So the library is great for legato playing, as I've stated. It doesn't have any other articulation, but what it does pretty well. It is cheap, it's under $50, which is pretty good for any kind of solo library that's got this kind of functionality under the hood. There's a few things that I do need to let you know about though. The manual isn't specific to this instrument, it's just a generic manual covering legato functionality in all of Fluffy Audio's instruments, so it's not that useful in describing some of the unique features of the library, and there's certainly some controls I had to have a little play with that weren't explained in the manual very well at all. As I say, the library is legato only, and I would like a slightly higher range in this violin. It is possible in other libraries, just not in this one. You'll also find that once you've removed the reverb, which sounds really lovely and smooth things over, you will start to hear exactly what the engine is doing, especially with the far mics that don't sound that great without any reverb added, so it's worth considering. Also, the fact that the latency is pretty huge. You've got half a second or so when you press a note before it moves to the next one. You will need to be moving your MIDI around once you've programmed your parts with this instrument. So in conclusion, that really brings me back to my original questions. Do you need this library? Well, if you need a legato violin that sounds nice, not spectacular I must say, but nice and very cheap, then Simple Violin is probably it. But if you already have a capable solo violin library with other articulations featured, even if it's something that you haven't used for a while, you'll probably be able to squeak a similar kind of sound out of this, and Simple Violin just won't really do anything extra for your template. Despite having a great concept and a really solid sound, personally I would really only find Simple Violin useful if I didn't already have that kind of sound in my arsenal. Check it out at the Fluffy Audio website. You'll be able to listen to the demos there too and have a look at the walkthrough videos. Thank you so much for watching. That's just a small taste of the Samplecast, a weekly podcast and YouTube show for sample library geeks and plugin enthusiasts. You can find out more information at thesamplecast.com. Don't forget to subscribe.